gone. We're on. Okay, so this is your maquette.
It's moved. I accidentally moved it. I don't know.
Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have something accidentally moved. Is that hard to fix?
I don't think so.
No, it is not hard to fix. You need to find something you can snap to.
Yes, move to 0 or center,
Yep.
right?
So where's your stone? That's the stone is one of these. There we go. This is the one I want to move. Now the important thing is to use project right here, because whatever I snap to here, Jen, if I then move it to 0, it'll not only move it this way, it'll move it way down onto the construction plane.
Okay.
If I use project, everything I pick is already on the construction plane, so it guarantees that it can't move this way. That no matter what, it'll only move this way.
So
That's what.
you project.
Yes, I'm going to project, and I'm going to hope for a center snap. Since this is circular, there should be plenty of centers. Boom, right there. Click, and then I hit 0. Nicely done. Okay. See, if I hadn't done project, looks the same here.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Because it moved it to 0 on the construction. It picked up there and put it down there, which is not what we wanted. Now, if I do it in perspective so you can see what happens. See the rubber band? It's picking the center, but it's throwing it down on the C-plane already.
Okay.
So the pick point from is already down here on the ground. And so when I pick 0, it just moves it over here, and nothing drops.
Okay.
It stays planar. Okay? So there. That was easy to fix. What can I do for you? What is your question?
I can't move on.
You can't move on.
Yeah.
What do you want? When you look at this piece, what do you want? That's always the question to ask yourself. When you designed this piece, what did you see in your mind? This isn't it.
Okay, first, I'm wondering why is...
Yeah, I'm wondering why too.
Yeah. When I draw it, everything is symmetric.
Okay.
And I am sure
We can
the
end.
center line...
Yeah, we can find out. We can find out why. It won't be a mystery. What color is the front view on?
Front.
Yeah, the ring bore.
If you confuse, green.
It's on green. Ah, there we go. Okay. So, and your flow curve is this was the outside one, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be. Okay. So, first thing we're going to do is look and make sure that flow curve is in the middle. It is. And so is this one. It's in the middle too.
Yeah.
So there's no problem with your curves, which means there's a problem with your blocks, the ones on the flat ground. Where are they at?
Problem with what?
With the flat maquette, the flat
Oh.
pieces.
This one, 15.
Okay. I've just found your problem.
So what's the problem?
Jen, this is supposed to be underneath this curve. First off. It can't be on top of the curve. It has to be underneath the curve. If you are flowing along the outside, and how did this get on the outside? I think you flowed using this curve. Actually, that's not possible because your surface isn't reaching. Okay? So you've done something mysterious, Jen.
No, but the size, the length, is matched with the outline.
Yes, so this has to move down.
So
I'll show you what has to happen. I don't want project anymore because I want to actually move it up and down. Mid. This has to be there. Okay? Now that did some very strange things with your piece, and I think it did strange things with your piece because I think you picked the wrong ends. Yeah. I'm going to let go of these for now. See, I throw away surfaces without hesitation. The other problem I can see is that your ring here is thicker than this is. This has to be as thick as this, or it's not going to work. So I'm going to do a non-uniform scale before I flow it. You'll notice in my tutorial, I make,
like this supposed to be thicker than.
yeah, this distance right here, this has to be thicker than this.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, it's not going to reach the finger. It's going to flow, and there'll be a gap.
Oh, okay.
We want it to be deeper than we need it. We want it deep, and then we'll cut it off. We have no problem cutting with this, but we want to get it oversized first. Too much, and then cut back. That way you know you have a perfect fit. That's fine. I don't want to change this direction, so I hit enter. Don't want to change this direction, so I hit enter. I do want to change here, and I'm going to make it fat. Okay? Now I know it's going to be way too thick, and I'm happy with that. That's all right. Now I'm going to make sure that this is lined up properly. And do you see this, Jen? See where your drawing is? See where your block is? It got moved.
Yeah, maybe I accidentally.
Uh-huh. Yeah, are you using a laptop, Jen?
Yes.
Are you using a mouse?
Yeah.
Okay, are you wearing glasses? Yeah, zoom in. Zoom in, be careful, okay? Because it's all this precision will hurt you. Now this time I don't want it to move this way. I want to make sure it stays flat, so I'll do project again. Mid. Okay, this is curious. I'm going to move it out of the way so I can see what's going on. How come this curve is longer than your drawing? It's okay. But this is the actual length of your flow curve, right? I'll double check it. Analyze length. It's 65.659. 65.659. So that is cool. That's good. I'm going to throw this away because it's just going to confuse me. Mid. End. Now that looks right. See how it's fitting in the grid? If I was insecure, if I really wanted to make sure it was in the center, I could draw a circle, center radius, snap to the end here, snap to the end here, and then look at it. If it wasn't lining up perfectly, I would know that it wasn't centered. Okay? Now it's centered. So now, Jen, we have it centered and we have it deep enough, and it's below the line where it's supposed to be. This is your flow curve. So, history, transform, flow along curve, pick at this end of this curve, and on this, at the bottom end of this, on this side.
Why is on this side?
Because if you don't, it'll flip it upside down.
Oh, okay.
Because this is the end of this curve, and this is the end of this curve. This is where it starts, and it goes around. So, should give me that. Okay? Which is right. And now I'm going to rotate this, once again with history. Copy, yes. So I get a copy when I rotate it. And 180 degrees. Center of rotation 0. Can you see how it's hugging a little tighter too? It's actually fitting to your setting a little bit tighter, which is good.
You mean this is too close?
It's not too close. It's just a little different than it was when you had it flowed before. But I think this is nicer.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah. So I'm going to put these on a different layer if Jindaporn has any layers left. Okay. Since I'm going to save this as a different file right now before I forget, I'm going to call it Office Hour 1118. That way we don't destroy anything important to you. I'm going to turn this off, turn turn that off. I'm not sure why these are on separate layers. I will change that now and turn it off. Oops, that's not it. No, Gendaborn, where did I put it? I put it on layer 16. There. And the stone is here. Okay, so I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this. 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 That's the same stone. I want... Why anybody has 3 black layers, I don't know. Because you can't tell them apart. And the same with the 2 white layers, really. That's a little confusing to me.
And I'm going to go back and write down more clearly.
Yeah.
This is stone. This is front. This is back. I confuse myself
Yeah.
all the time. Like, what is that? Layer 1? What is
Yeah.
that? Layer
Now,
2?
now remember, you can name them, right?
Yeah.
So now I have everything that we're not using. Control A, delete.
Okay.
So now I have lots of layers I can use. Also going to change your grid to my grid. I don't like little grids. So just because that's less busy for me to look at. Bring these back, and now I can put these on a different layer. And I'm going to be a little more colorful than you are, Jen. I'm going to call that gold. I'm going to call this magenta. I'm going to call this one chartreuse, maybe. Yeah. That's too close to this one. They're the same color, so while I'm here, I'm going to change that to a different green. That's a little easier to tell them apart. Okay. And the 2 white layers, I don't need 2 of those. You are now officially orange, and you are now officially purple. There. Lots of colors for me to play with. Let's take a look. Is it fitting now? Yes, it is. Okay. I'm going to take the 2 pieces out of the inside. You see you have a cap at the end here, and you have a cap at the end here. I'm going to take those 2 caps out. Extract surface. Just drag a window around them. Enter. I know. I broke history. I don't care. Delete. That way I can join these together. As long as those surfaces were in between,
So
it wouldn't join.
if it has a cap, so what does happen?
If it
It's
had,
going to be obviously seen.
yeah, if it had the caps still in place,
Feel like that's inside.
if the caps are still there, I can't join them
Oh, okay. I thought like you did.
because they're too closed. They both have sealed. So to make them into one piece, I need to extract this surface out, these 2 surfaces out. Now there's a hole there inside,
Okay.
which will allow me to join it. The way that Rhino refers to this, or in CAD modeling, they call them a shell. You want a single shell. So when you think of a shell, think of an egg. If you look inside of an eggshell, are there any lines inside that separate it? No. It's a hollow, thin shell. That's what you want when you're done. You don't want anything inside of here. You want the air to just flow through without interruption. So there we have it. Now if I want to go ahead now and cut it off at the finger bore, I can. But usually I don't. These are both the same color. Oh no. I keep doing that. That's kind of an ugly color. Okay, fine. There, a chocolate. Just don't want to have 2 of the same, because that gets very confusing. When you have 2 things that are the same color, it's hard to find yourself. There, see? I'll be cutting this bottom off eventually, and that will be how high your ring is. I can do that whenever I want to. All I've got to do is analyze the direction, make sure it's pointing outward, do a solid difference, and it's ready. I am not going to do that though, because I like overlapping. I like things too long. When I finish the ring, when I assemble it, when it's done, then I'll clean it all up. But until I'm ready to assemble, that extra meat makes my life a little bit easier. So I'll leave it there. But I will keep this on my hidden layer. Let's see what you have on your hidden layer. Nothing. Good. I'll hide that. You know how to hide?
No, I don't know.
If you want to hide, you just select something and hit Control H. It's still in your file. It's just hidden. If you want to see it again, you hold down Control Shift H, and Rhino will show you all of your hidden objects, and you select which one you want to show again.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And it's back. It's just a fast way to get things out of your way. So we have this. So now I'm going to go back to that same question I asked you originally. How did you envision this? By the way, you don't have this curving along a finger rail, right?
What do you mean?
Right now, this is straight. It has to bow. It has to follow along here. It's going to be easy for me to make it follow along. It's not going to be hard. I can pick either one of these curves. I'll pick this one. I'm going to make a circle, center radius, quad, top of this circle. I'm just going to make it big enough that it's bigger than that rail, than this the finger rest. I'm going to copy this to clipboard. Oh, there's two of them. Already there's two of them. Interesting. I'm going to delete one just because I'm confused. Control C. I'm going to trim this out. I know, I broke history. I'm not sure what to, but I broke history. I'm going to check how long this is. 5.959. Make a straight line. 5.959. Move this from its mid. That can't be its mid. It can't be in the same place. Yeah. It is. It's right there. It's so close. So close. Yep. And then put it back to quad. And now I have a flow kit, right? Going to measure my lengths again. 5.959. 5.959. I can delete this circle now. I'm going to take this and go transform, flow along curve. Please take it from straight to curvy. Okay. And then I'll put this on a... Was this your storage? Like, which one is your... I'm calling this storage. And I'll put this on storage. Okay. I am going to paste... Oh, I'm actually going to put this in storage too. Jen's curves. So when you're done with curves, you put them there. So I'm going to grab this and this and this. I'm going to group them. Control G. And then I'm going to put them on that layer and turn that layer off. Now whenever you're looking for something that you've worked with before, if it's a curve, you'll look for it here. And they'll be grouped together according to what you were doing. So anything to do with this rail will all be grouped together with this finger rest. And that's done. I'm going to paste back in this curve in case we want it later. Oops, I moved it accidentally. So now, Jen, this matches the curvature of your other piece. Not that one. What color did we make it, Jen? Is it? Yes, this. Okay. It doesn't really match it because we have to trim this off, but when we trim it off, they will match. Okay. So I've fixed your setting a little bit. I've got your maquette in place. What did you have in mind?
What about how to do the other stunt?
Well, do you want a square piece of metal? Yeah. Yeah, because right now this is just an extrusion. This is just a block. You don't want just a block, Jindaporn.
So when I have to do a gallery of the other stones, the small one, so just do the same way.
Well, the small stones, where do they sit? We threw them away, by the way. I threw away your stones.
Oh, you threw away.
But don't you just have two right here, one here,
one here,
and one here? Yes, yes. You'll make the same
way.
Same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have an idea.
When you design those, by the way, Jen, you're going to want to do a drawing. Okay? Now, see, what you have here was actually smart, but you didn't make this the same size as this. You made it shorter. I liked the fact that you drew this, because you're going to do the same thing when you draw your side stones. You're going to put them over here, and you're going to create the same setting so that they fit and come in. And actually, you want them to come to the same center point. So to find that center point, I'll mirror that over, fillet them. Oh, come on. Rhino, don't argue with me. I'm just going to win. Yeah. And so if you wanted to put them over here, for example, they would fit into this space. Then you'd mirror them over. You want the galleries wires, the finger rests, you want them to connect. You want to be able to Boolean union these together into one piece of 3 loops. You want to be able to Boolean union these together.
So make one big.
Yeah.
And then just.
And you're going to put the stones. I wish I hadn't thrown away your stones. Now I feel bad. File. Jindaporn bypass 2. Where are those stones? They're black. I know they're black.
No. The yellow one is the 6 and 7.
Ah. You guys, come here. You guys come here. Group. Control C. I just copied them.
I'm not sure about how height. And
yeah, we're going to talk about that right now. Let me have those. Thank you. Okay, so.
Oh, so you just copy and paste on here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I never done that before.
Yeah, you can copy from one Rhino file and just paste into another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks easy.
Yeah. And it keeps things tidy. Okay, now your center stone is right here.
And it's always paste on the same place.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Now this is a really big stone, Jen.
2 carat.
Yeah, it's 2 carat.
Is it too big?
Well, it's just big. It's too big, I don't know. But it's also too deep, Jen. How big is a 2 carat stone, Jen?
I forgot the size.
You find out while I bring in a 1 carat stone. I mean a 10 millimeter stone. File, import. Documents.
It is diameter 8.05 to 8.10.
Okay.
It may be 8.05.
Okay, the way you're going to make that is you're going to go to your stone that you saved from last semester, because I know you saved it. It'll look just like that one. That's the FIT 10 millimeter round stone. And how big is it? 8.1?
8.05.
8.1.
8.1.
We'll call it 8.1. So 8.1 from 10 is 81%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Transform scale. There. The proportions don't change. See how deep this is?
Oh, what's wrong? There's something wrong.
You did something a little crazy. My guess is you did a non-uniform scale and didn't know it.
Maybe. Oh my god, it looks weird.
Yeah. That's what I thought when I saw it. So now that is your new stone.
Okay.
Okay? That's a lot more normal because where you usually want the under bezel, you usually want it to ride about 1/3 of the way down the stone. Okay? And you want the stone to cut into it because this is your seat. This is what your stone sits on. So something like that. But here's the deal. Wherever you put that is where these are going to go. These need to share the same elevation, more or less, as this under bezel. And sometimes that doesn't work out great. Sometimes you want to move this down a little bit so that these can have a happier relationship with their underbezel, because they're going to line up. Now, the underbezel for this stone, you don't, of course, want to make this close, but you do want to tuck it under. There's a reference curve. That's where your girdle is. Okay? You're going to want this to go under just a little bit. About like that. Okay? You're going to want the rotation on this to match the shoulder of the ring. You don't want them straight up. You want them to feel like they're going along the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Transform, rotate.
Why don't you go from the middle?
Because where do you start a rotation? You always start a rotation from the one place, any transform, not just rotation, scale, any of them. You want to start from the one thing you don't want to change.
Okay.
I don't want to change this. I just moved this exactly where I want it. So I'm going to start my rotation from the one thing I don't want to move and rotate the rest. And you usually don't go exactly along the finger because that'll be a little too steep. You usually want kind of a compromise. This would be nice. Unfortunately, I had copy option on, so I have two of those. There we go. So that's where this is going to go. Okay? Challenge is now to make sure that's where we want it inside of your... Is that lining up properly from the top? Doesn't look bad. Let's look at it in perspective view. What I'm trying to do, Jin, is make sure that it also works well with whatever you're doing here. I think that's good for a start. This is a maquette. We're going to be changing that anyway, so that's okay. So there's your stone. What I need to do now is I need to create the setting for it. And I'm lazy. I like to do things as easy as possible. So I'm going to steal the girdle off of this stone. Going to do that by extracting an isocurve and just go to mid. Find the seam on the stone. It's right there. So there's the girdle. That'll work. I'm going to need a center line for this stone. And the way I'm going to get that, by the way, I've got to quit drawing in yellow because I won't be able to see anything. I'm going to make a straight line perpendicular to stone. Called normal, actually. So there's a straight line. Normal means it's going to come right off the surface. Okay? So it's going to come right off of this surface. Say if I picked right here, for example. No. And don't project. It's going to make that come off directly from that surface at whatever angle that surface is, right? I want it to come off the middle of this stone. Or something that's the same place as this stone. Okay? That's kind of hard to do, the way this is shaped. Unless I just turn the stone off. I have that girdle. Surface tools. Planar surface. Line. I want both sides. Normal, center snap. Done. Now I can delete that surface if I want to. And bring back the stone. I don't need this curve right now. What I need to do now, Jen, is I need to move this down in space. And I want to see how it looks. The way I can move that straight down is, I call it doing like a trombone, the horn. I can slide on this using near snap. As long as I stay on this curve, it's going to stay right where I want it. I'm going to move it down a little ways. Take off this watch. It's my running watch. Not good. I'm going to put that surface back on that I just threw away, because it makes it easy to see. I'm going to select both of these. And I'm going to move it back up a little bit. Take a look. See how that's relating with this? That's going to be the center of that under bezel. A little bit more. I'm going to say somewhere in that area. Now my problem is going to be that I need to create a wire that goes around this. That's okay, I can do that. Make it a pipe. Ooh, not a pipe. Ginderporn. Let's make it, how thick is this? The model maker doesn't know how thick it is. That's not good. Easy to find out. Measure that seam. Analyze length. It's a millimeter. So we're going to make these about, how big is this stone?
This one, point zero point. No, this one.
It's 3.7.
3.7.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
So for 3.7, we're going to go like a 7/10 of a millimeter. We can go 9/10. We'll go a 9/10 of a millimeter under bezel. It's going to look really big, but we can do it. So to do that, I'm going to make a curve. I'm going to make a circle, a round curve. Pick a quadrant, and the diameter is 0.9. Wow, that is one chubby under bezel. But we want it to look good compared to this one. If we make this really tiny, they're going to look funny together. So that's all right. Okay, going to record history. And I am going to lathe, revolve. That's what I'm going to revolve. I need a revolve axis, which is exactly why I put this curve in here. Okay, so we have that. Now, of course, it's way too big. I'm going to set a C-plane to that surface, which will make it easy for me to move this curve in. You can't see the under bezel past the girdle, so I'll keep moving it in until I don't see it. Okay? And then I'm going to move it down, and I'll just move it along this pipe, along this curve, until it has a nice relationship That's a nice relationship. That's not bad, Jen. That works. Now, I do need it to be touching the pavilion of my stone, or it's not going to make a good seat. And it looks like it barely touches, so I'm going to move it in a little bit more. Unfortunately, that might make it not touch this very much. Yeah, it's kind of not touching that too much. I want a little better bite there, so I'm going to move it down a little bit. Okay. I may have to reinforce this later. But that's good. Done. I don't need that curve anymore. I don't need that surface anymore. Only two curves I needed to make this were those two. But I couldn't find those two curves until I made the other ones. Okay? That's Rhino. You make a lot of things you don't need to get to the things that you do need. The same thing we were talking about earlier. I surface things, and then I use those surfaces to make other things, and I use those surfaces to make something else until I get what I want. Right? Nothing's ever final until you say it's final. Now that's barely holding my stone, so I'm going to move that stone down a little bit too. This is a very useful curve. Alright. So that's where that stone's going to go. Let's see how that plays with this stone. That's actually pretty nice. That's not bad. I'm going to move this stone down a little bit, because our under bezel's really low. See, I would like that under bezel to be about right there. But I don't want to come this close to the finger. That makes me nervous. So I'm going to grab this. Just these curves. I'm not going to pick on this at all, because it's a child, and if I pick on the child, it'll get mad at me. Move the whole thing up just a little bit, and that updated automatically because it's got history. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Okay, I'm happy with that. So what we have to do now is figure out what goes on the bottom. Okay, the way we're going to figure that out, Jen, is we're going to turn on your finger rest. Do we know how far this is?
1 millimeter.
Okay, that's 1 millimeter. Yeah.
But I remember it's 1 millimeter.
Yes, it is. So I am going to go 0.5. So I can lay these out. If that's 1 millimeter, and this is 1 millimeter, not sure what I'm going to want to do here. I might want to keep these 1 millimeter. And if I want to keep these 1 millimeter, Jen, I might want to make this 1 millimeter. Oh, that's complicated. So, let's see what it looks like if I do that. The one place I don't want to move. Ooh, that's not, that wasn't what I had in mind, Jen. I wanted something here. Okay, fine. Fight with me, Rhino. I don't have a snap right here. I want a snap right here. And I got nothing I can get. Line perpendicular from curve. That worked. That gives me that curve. Now I can scale it using that curve as my snap point. Scale. See, a lot of it's just being sneaky. Knowing what you want to do. I want to scale this up. I need an object snap there to do it. There's an object snap. I just created one for me. I want this to go from 9/10 to 1 millimeter. Fortunately for me, Rhino can do math for me. So if I go 1/0.9, Rhino will. You can type mathematical equations in the command line.
Really?
Yes, and it will do the math for you in the command.
Okay.
So that's now 1 millimeter.
So 1/0.9 is mean like you scale
Yeah, the
from
backslash is divide. Yes, so 1 divided by 0.9 will scale the 0.9 up to 1 millimeter. Yeah. Faster than using a calculator. Take a look. That's still pretty good. I'm going to probably have to move this down a little bit now because it's so much thicker. Don't want to move it down very much though, or I'm going to lose contact. And I really can't move this up very much or it's going to run into this stone, which I don't want it to do. So I'm calling that good, Jen. I am calling that A-okay. So I've got this one done. So back down to here. I want to know what the shape of this is. Well, actually, I don't even care. Right now, I'm more worried about what I'm going to do here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. Copy, paste. Slide it down. Until it fits in between there. Pretty good. Now, I told Rhino to make that 1 millimeter. It's 1 millimeter. Oh, I know why, because it's not on the C-plane. Never mind. Okay. It's not on the C-plane because this isn't on the C-plane. That's fine. So I'm going to do a revolve. Except I'm going to do it with history. Okay. And now I'm going to move it in and out until it gives me the shape that I want, tapering down. Challenge is I don't have a curve to move it in and out on unless I make a C-plane. I'm not in the mood to make a C-plane. I'm really not. So perpendicular from curve. There. That curve is perpendicular, so I can just move this along that. That's about the least I can do. I don't want this to close up on the bottom, and it's already kind of closing up on the bottom. This is going to be a fairly straight little setting. It's alright. And I want this to move, yeah, up to where it's exactly centered in this. That's not going to be easy to do, Jen. Sure it will. Curve, offset this curve, through point, center snap. Okay, so I have this. Now I'm going to move this curve int snap project. That way it can't move this way. Well, unfortunately it doesn't want to see that as being there. Fine. It's making my life difficult, Jen. I may have to make a construction plane or something time-consuming, which we don't have time for me to do, and I don't want to do. But I might have to anyway. I might not have a choice. Oh, sure, I always have a choice. Surface, extrude. Give me an intersection with those 2 points, with those 2 curves. Please. There, thank you. Now I have points. And I'll use those points with the project option so it doesn't move in and out.
So how would
Intersect, point.
how you get a point?
I extruded a surface and then did intersection. And where the surface intersected these, it made points. Of course, that's still not exactly right. That's really annoying to me, Jen, that it's not exactly right. Okay. This is what Rhino modeling is. Going, okay, you didn't give me what I want. How do I get what I want? Line perpendicular from curve. Center snap. Okay. Now that's not going to come into contact with this, so I can't use it unless I do the same thing I just did. I'm going to extrude out this way, grab this and this curve, and get an intersection. Yeah, just so I can have something to snap to. Going to move this, intersect, point. And see, I just can't get it. I just can't get it. It's going to be a little too high, a little too low, a little too high, a little too low. And so I'm going to do something I never let you guys do. by eye. I'm going to do a zoom window so I can get really tight. Use near snap. That'll have to be good enough. Yeah, that's fine. It's not as precise as I normally like, but it'll work. So there's that setting. There's this setting. Everything is groovy. Everything is good. My only problem is now this doesn't really, it's just too small. This is too small. Where is the one that we put in storage, Jen? This guy. I like this guy. And you have a curve for him that you use to make him with. It's right here. I'm going to borrow this. Oh, it's in the wrong place now, so it doesn't matter. I need that section back so I can revolve this again. Easy to get, Jen. I'm going to go top C-plane. I'm going to grab this curve, and I'm going to project it. I can pick any straight curve down the middle. I can pick this one. Project. Delete. No, I don't want to throw it away. It sent that curve straight down across this and gave me two cross sections. Only need one. Front C-plane. Don't need that anymore, because I'm about to replace it with something better. Surface. Rail revolve. Not just regular revolve. History chem. Now I want to move this out until I'm biting into this pretty good. I'm kind of estimating. It just has to be smaller than this one, because when I bend this, it's going to get a little smaller. Oh, let go. My mouse is breaking. Really? Thank you. Alright, so I wonder if that flow kit that I made will still work. It will, Jen. That's convenient. Record history. Flow along curve. Actually, I don't want to flow that. I want to flow this. Straight. Curved. Unfortunately, that did not update my thing. Okay. I didn't want to have to break history on the first one, but I'm going to have to. Flow along curve. Straight. It's biting in pretty good. I'll put this one on the storage layer. I'll regroup these. Turn that layer off. Don't need that. So, pretty good. Pretty good. So, Jen, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rotate. I actually want to do that with all of these. That should line up. Okay. Now I want to make a good casting out of these. It's important that the casting be good. So to make a good casting, I'm going to come into here. It's a little bit of a challenge. I need to find out how these two could possibly intersect each other. And right now, of course, they don't intersect each other at all, which is kind of annoying. So, extract isocurve from U. There we go. Set a surface to that. Nice. Set a C-plane to that. Nice. Pick up this surface. Transform. Could you see who that is, please? No, I just came back and have been in office hour. Okay.
And it's really college policy to leave the door
Okay.
open.
Well, I'm recording a tutorial for her while we do it. So
I'm supposed to be replying to the VP. We did talk about this, but I need to be able to say.
I paused that and resumed it properly. Otherwise, you're going to have a whole lot of windy conversation in the background of your. Okay, so what I'm going to do, Jen, and I've actually got to go to lunch quick, but I'm going to non-uniform scale this. Because all I want is I want a space here. I want to see where it cuts. That's all I want. I want a curve, Jen. I want a curve where this bumps into this. I don't care about anything else. So, like I said, curves are the big deal. So, non-uniform scale. Quad. I don't want project on. And I do want to scale it this direction. I'm going to scale it until it slams right into this. And Z I want no change. It's going to say I broke history, I don't care. I'm going to quickly get an intersection between these two. That's the curve I want. I'm going to copy that, Jen, to the clipboard outside of Rhino. Control C. Then I'm going to undo. Because I didn't really want that distorted. I just wanted the curve that it could give me. Now I have my curve back. I'm going to project, or pull, rather, this curve. Pulling acts like a magnet. The surface that you ask to pull it will grab it like a magnet and pull it. There it is. I didn't want it to just delete this one, though, so do it again, and this time make sure that it says delete input equals no, because I want to keep both of them. Now that I have this, Jen, I can grab this and I can trim it out. I thought I could trim it out, Jen. It's being rude. Okay, if Rhino doesn't want to trim, I'll extract the surface, so I just have a single surface instead of a poly surface, and I'll try it again. And that time it worked. And I'll do the same thing over here. I know. Now it's okay. Throw that away. And I'm going to do a blend surface. I'm going to grab, it's going to ask me to grab everything around the first edge. When I'm done, I'll hit enter. Then it will ask me for the second edge. When I'm done, I'll put enter. Then it's going to ask me where I want the seam of the surface to be. I want to hide it on the bottom, Jen. Okay. Actually, that seam's in a weird place. It's not straight. So I'm going to move it and make it by eye. Just so it looks nice. Now you really can't see much because we don't have preview turned on. But if I turn on preview,
how the difference between tangency and
curvature pushes really hard, tangency pushes kind of hard. Usually we want tangency. Curvature moves 2 control points in to match. Tangency moves 1 control point in to match. Remember I talked in class to get tangency, if you have 3 curves in a straight line, you have smoothness? That's tangency. 1, one in the middle, one on the outside. These two are lined up. Curvature goes 1 point further out, so you have 5 points in a line. When you hit curvature, it's making the surface change 2 points in, which is really distorted. Other options we have here is same height. That'll give you a little more rigid looking. And now we're going to control the handles. And by controlling the handles, we can get a little smoother sort of effect. And I'll hit OK.
Because when I work on the other project, a flower,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like some part is good to choose a tangency, and some
Yeah.
part is good for a curvature.
Yeah.
So I just guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You get a little more continuity with curvature.
Yeah, but I don't know how the difference. So now I know. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So transform, rotate, copy equals yes. And copy, yeah. And now you have everything you need to trim this out, to trim this out, join this. Oh, how come you're not joining? Should join. Okay, doesn't want to join that one. It'll join that one. It'll join this one.
What happened?
It doesn't want to join. There it goes.
Oh.
It joined. Boom. So now you have one piece. And to make these one piece, now it did something bad. Fine. Let's do one side at a time, see if it takes that better. Nope. So, solid intersection. No, it just hates it. It doesn't want to do a Boolean here. Analyze edge tool, see if we have any naked edges. No, and I know these don't. So it just hates it. And unfortunately, we're out of time.
No problem.
You'll have to figure out how to get around
Sure,
that,
I
okay?
will.
So, but there you go. We made good progress. That help?
So much.
You bet.